Welcome back. In today's video I'll be showing you how to create a scatter graph in Microsoft Excel. A scatter graph will be commonly used to show the relationship between two variables and to see if there's any correlation. So for example, here we've got temperature in Celsius and the ice cream sales. So two variables, we want to use the scatter graph to check if there's any correlation between these two, or to put it in other words, when one thing changes, for example the temperature, does the other thing change, the dependent variable, which is ice cream sales in this case. So for this example, we would expect to see an upward sloping curve or line as it's going to be in the scatter graph. But how steep will that be and how strong will the correlation be, we don't know. So that's what we're going to find out using the scatter graph. So obviously you'll need data to do this. So it just needs to be set out in a table, something like this. That'll make it nice and easy. One thing with the title and then another thing with the title there. Now I've got 10 pieces of data. You'll probably want around that number depending on what you're trying to show. The more the better, and in this case 10 is going to be about fine. Head over to the Insert tab and find where it says Charts. Then click on the scatter graph icon, which is this one here with the dots on it. And you probably want to just choose the top left. So when it opens, you'll probably have a blank graph with two boxes here that look a bit out of place. That's because it's looking for data in these and there's none in there. So we need to select the data. Click this select data icon here and then drag the box over the data including the titles. Click OK and you can see it's immediately looking about right. However, you can see that we've got 0 to 20 Celsius, which we don't need to really worry about, so we'll get rid of that first. So to do this, make sure you got the graph selected. If you have, you'll see the Design tab at the top. Go to the Add Chart Element, and then Axes, and then More Axis Options. Now on the right, you'll have this window that will pop up. If you're on this green icon here, that's right, you'll have Axis Options from here. Now you'll be able to see immediately which axis we are selected. It should select this one as default, but just in case it doesn't, you can just click on each one here. But we obviously want to change the one at the bottom, so we'll select that. And you can see here, we've got minimum and maximum numbers. If we change that to 20, and then click off, you'll see that it's changed how the graph looks. And that looks a bit more like it. We've now got a bit more of a condensed graph and we don't have all that wasted space that we didn't really need. It still shows the exact same thing. We can do a lot more things with the graph to make it how we want it. I'm going to change the title next. So we've got ice cream sales at the moment. I've just changed it to ice cream sales versus temperature to explain what we're showing here. You might want to add the axis labels. So to do that, we're going to go back to Design tab and then Add Chart Element and then Axis Titles. Now if you select the primary horizontal, it will show it up there and we can obviously name it temperature. And then it's the exact same to show the vertical axis as well. You might also want to add a line of best fit or a best fit line. To do that, same again, Add Chart Element and then go down to trend line. If we click on linear, we can see that it will just show us the linear trend line from the first point to the last point. If we go linear forecast, it will extend what it forecasts beyond the end of the data. So we can see that for 34 degrees, you'd expect just short of 700 sales in ice cream. Other things we can do in the Add Chart Element section is things like the changing where the title is and error bars and things like that, grid lines, so it will show a few more lines, which makes it a bit easier to read. And the legend we can move or add depending on whether we need it. A lot of these things will be more specific to the graph that you are doing. In our case, a lot of these things aren't really necessary. Now the data that I've used has created a nice straight trend line and pretty much all the points are on it apart from the first. You can change the trend line style, so if it's a curve or an exponential curve, you can do that. If you go to the trend line section again, so Add Chart Elements down to trend line, you can choose the type of trend line here if you've got exponential, but if you go to more trend line options, you can choose the other ones here. So if you wanted, you can display the equation of the line, which is that at the moment. You can move that by clicking on it and dragging it. You might want it somewhere there. You can also add the r² value here as well. That's the coefficient explaining the variance, and it's 0.99 in our case, so that's pretty good. You can always choose the quick layout option here. This will choose a preset that is already sorted, so if one of these works, then you don't have to individually change all of the options. There's also some presets in terms of the style. We've got a blue one here, a black one there, and there'll be a few more down here. So if any of these improve it, then you might as well use them. We could change the colors as well individually here with more presets available there. If you think that a scatter graph might not be the best way of displaying the data, you can change the chart type here to something else that might work a bit better. So those are pretty much the basics to the scatter graph in Excel. You can always format and change how it looks a little bit more towards your own style just by clicking on format and changing all of this. Now this is just how you would do in normal Excel. And that's it. I hope the video has helped you create a scatter graph in Microsoft Excel. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them as soon as I can. If you did find the video helpful, remember to leave a like. Feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.